Hola amigos and welcome back to Montreal. Can I just start off this video by highlighting a very important point? I was just walking down Boulevard Saint Laurent again and I was stopped by a guy jogging. I wasn't jogging, I don't jog. And he said to me, oh, I've been watching your Montreal videos and like, you know, fist pump. It made my day. So whoever you were, thank you very much because it's motivated me to start this video now. Today is my final day in Montreal after a month here, and this is video number 6 of my Montreal series on top of the one that I did about 7 months ago in the winter. You can check out all of those videos in the playlist in the link up above. And today we're going to continue the food theme from the last 2 videos. I know that there's so many places to go in Montreal for food and I can only go to a selection, but there's somewhere important today that I want to go to which has been recommended multiple times by one of my patrons, Dave, which is just down there. We're then going to discuss some of my overall final impressions of Montreal before I go. And later on today, we're getting on a plane. We're going to Paris. Yes, Paris is coming up, my first time in Paris. So without further ado, I hate when people say that, it's time to eat. Okay, we're doing this a little bit differently because as you can see in a moment, the place I went, it was dark, it was noisy, and there were people right next to me, so I didn't feel right like filming and interrupting them eating. So I'm going to show you some shots from the place while I was there eating, and oh my god, this place has to be the contender for one of my meals of the year. Absolutely. So La Vieux Saint Laurent, which I'm probably butchering, you know, as always, is like an old school diner. And it's open from early morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and when you go inside it's packed, it's full, just like so many places in Montreal. There wasn't a queue outside like you see in other places, but you know, it was still busy. And around the outsides of the walls, you know, it's all like wood lined, and there's that part where they serve the food and the waitress collects it and brings it to your table, and you can see it all happening, you know. And I had eggs Benedict. There are so many different options in terms of breakfast, in terms of lunch, but I went for the classic eggs Benedict with smoked salmon. I haven't had smoked salmon in, I don't even know the last time I had smoked salmon, but I absolutely love it. So there were like a sesame seed bagel with salmon on top, with the eggs on top, with the hollandaise sauce, as well as like little potato things as well that you could then dip in the hollandaise sauce, and also like a fruit bowl as well, which I thought was cool, and free water. And this cost me $15.50, and it was mind-blowing. I cannot even describe what I felt eating that. It was one of the best meals I've had all year. As I said, it completely filled me up. And in terms of value for money, you know, I've talked a lot about Montreal food being quite expensive. Yeah, $15 for a breakfast, but actually what you get for it is value for money completely. And you know, I'm just thinking back now to breaking those eggs open and the yolk running out. I'm in love with food in Montreal. You know, I'm going to talk in a little bit about negatives of Montreal and like a general overview, but absolutely one thing about Montreal that sets it apart from so many other cities in the world is that diversity in terms of food, which I think has been an ongoing theme throughout these videos. So yeah, and the other thing about this place was the fact that the people, you know, the staff in there, they're kind of crazy bonkers eccentric and a bit of a crazy personality, but in a good way, and that really makes the difference in terms of your dining experience, which I don't feel like I get in a lot of countries. So Montreal, you're, you know, kicking it out the park once again. Yeah, sorry it's windy, I can't do anything about it, I'm not the weatherman. And I just want to highlight that Montrealers can be a funny bunch, because I was right here like 7 months ago, one of the first spots that I filmed in my first ever Montreal video with the amazing artwork. And I remember back then I was just filming like this, and a guy thought I was filming him and he sort of shouted at me, and I was like, oh my god, is that what Montreal people are like? But then I just met this other guy, old guy, we had a big conversation about the artwork, and he was telling jokes and stuff. And that's, I think, something I've learned about Montreal residents is that they do take some warming up too, you know. It's a bit like English people. Again, a common theme through these videos is that English people and Quebec residents are somewhat similar. You know, you don't automatically warm up to them straight away. You have to make an effort, you know. So that's one thing I've noticed about people in Montreal. Right, I'm ready to go. If you want to know what I travel with, it's that. Literally like 10 kilograms or less. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm off to the airport soon. Had a shower, changed, freshened up. I'm not being minging on a flight, you know. It's the worst thing ever. So my final thoughts on Montreal. Where do I even start? You know, I wanted to come back here because I'd been here in the winter and I wanted to feel what it was like in the summer, and absolutely experienced that. It's a completely different city. You know, it comes alive. There's so much going on. I know I didn't go to the jazz festival. I didn't go because I was ill and I was tired. But you know, Montreal is obvious. It's well known for like summer activities, fairs, festivals, you name it. It's awesome. And I'm not going to lie, you know, I'm not going to make out that, oh yes, I've had the amazing time in Montreal, it's the best place to come in the world, because I'm not like that. You know, it's a pleasant city, it's nice, it's interesting, it's got a lot of history and architecture, it's quite pretty, but, you know, is it somewhere that is the prettiest city in the world? No. Is it somewhere that is the most exciting city in the world? No, it's not. Is it somewhere that is on my top 10 list of places to come back to again in the future? No, it's not. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a negative thing. I've had a great time in Montreal. I've done a lot more this time than I did last time. And I've learnt a lot, I think, about Quebec and Montreal in general. So one thing that I thought before was the fact that, yeah, Montreal and Quebec are part of Canada, but in terms of Montrealers, there's definitely this view that, you know, Quebec is essentially a separate entity within Canada, and the whole thing about French and English, you know, it's a French province. You know, some people have said it's not bilingual. As I said in the first video, you know, French and English are spoken, so that's my definition of bilingual in a way. But I know what you mean in terms of people will naturally speak French to you. And the thing, as I said about the people, you know, at first it was something that I was a bit like, oh my god, these people are a bit offish and abrupt and not personable, if you know what I mean. You know, having been in Mexico for so long, where you will just walk down the street and just speak to a random grandmother, abuela, you don't necessarily do that in Montreal, and it's just like England, like I said, and it takes time to warm up, as I said before. And yeah, there are some negatives which I've discovered, not only from me, but also from some of you who've commented about Montreal. You live in Montreal, you're from here. Things like the traffic, detours, you know, horrendous if you drive. I imagine that's because, you know, harsh winters, it's difficult to do roadworks and maintenance during the winter. I don't know, let me know in the comments what the real reason for the detours is. And, you know, people don't pick up dog poo. These are really silly things. That really annoys me. The whole weed thing, that's been a bit of a frustration actually, and I think I've learned something out of that to do with me. Because, you know, weed was made legal late last year, so I think there might have been, you know, some kind of novelty aspect with it, and it's still going. I'm really sweaty, by the way. I just had a hot shower. And, you know, everywhere you go, you can smell weed, and it almost made me sick. And, you know, I smoke cigarettes, and one of the things when you're a smoker, over time, you gradually become sort of immune to the smell, and, you know, your taste buds disappear, and you're not really conscious of those around you and the effect that it has on people. So I've definitely started thinking, well, I need to smoke somewhere out of the way rather than walking down the street, because potentially that smell could make a non-smoker sick. So, yeah, so that's Montreal. Farewell, Montreal. The food, fantastic. I'm glad I came back overall. It's definitely given me a different perspective of Montreal, which is what travel is all about. So it's time to get the subway, the bus, and a plane, and I'll see you at the airport. Haha, Paris, here I come. Au revoir, Montreal. Right, so I'm getting to the airport via the subway and the 747 bus. So if you're coming to Montreal, just get a ticket. It's 24 hours, you can use it on anything for the 747 bus. So you can go either to Berry station, which takes a lot longer to get to the airport because it stops like all the hotels and stuff, or you can go to another station that I can't pronounce, get the bus from there, and it takes about half an hour. So fantastic. Okay, I'm at Lionel, whatever it's called, station. That's what the bus looks like, but I don't think that's the bus. Just look out for the people with the suitcases. That's pretty much the bus route, if you know what I mean. Lovely. Hope I get a seat. Probably won't. So what's one thing that I've never done in my entire life? A tourist day in Paris. And at the end, give a few little final thoughts about Paris itself. Okay, someone literally just crashed their car as I was filming this. I really need a wee and a cigarette, but I've got to go to the Eiffel Tower. That is quote of the year.